any HICSA would not be complete without our next session. Following 17 years of tradition, we bring to you the most dramatic session of HICSA, the hot seat debate. This year's session is called Challenging Times for Leadership. Playing referee this year is none other than Mr. Manav Thadani. Manav will be joined on stage by Mr. J.B. Singh, President and Chief Executive Officer, Interglobe Hotels, Mr. Kapil Chopra, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, The Postcard Hotel, Ms. Priya Paul, Chairperson, Apeejay Surrendra Park Hotels, Mr. Snehdeep Aggarwal, Founder Chairman, Bhartiya Group, and Mr. Saxena, Managing Director and Vice President Operations, South Asia, Radisson Hotel Group. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the next panel.
Drum roll, huh, this time?
We have choreographed the whole program for the last 2 days. The last session we'll do the choreography, so I apologize for the music. That was their selection, and they were hoping that you guys will get into the mood and dance in to the tunes of, I think, Anil Kapoor, is that correct? Dhanachak, whatever it's called. So thank you, everyone. It's been a good 2 days. I'm going to get right into it. I know it's a hot seat, but we've all gone through 2 years of very challenging years. So I'd like to start, maybe Zubin, with you.
I knew it's coming.
No. I just want you to tell us, more like an opening say. Would you categorize this as the most challenging period for you, and how have you? The theme of this session is leadership. So we really want to just hear from the leaders on the stage as to how you've seen the last 2 years. And then I'm going to ask the same to everyone.
Sure. Manav, I was actually introspecting, actually to the title of this discussion that we have. And my first response was that where we sit today, perhaps the title should have been the most exciting times for leadership. But then I paused, and then I thought about where we were about 2 years ago, and that is probably the most challenging times we've been through in the last couple of years. And I was just broadly put in how the whole cycle evolved, from somebody who's been given the responsibility of 100 or so hotels, about 14,000 employees, and you are pretty much flying in uncharted territories. You don't know how it's going. And first there was, and I think that's for the industry at large, first there was denial. Then there was the theory that there's the summers, which is around the corner, and hopefully things are going to be better because the virus is not going to survive in the summers. And then we had 3 months of, and then there was the day when the occupancies fell down from about, good 70% to single digits, right? And then that was the eye-opener. And then what ensued after that was, call it a thunderstorm, call it a roller coaster. There were business losses, there was, unfortunate demise of many colleagues. I don't think anybody's won the war against COVID. That's not happening. And then there was the realization that this is your opportunity now, when there's 3 months of lockdown, and you have a plan that you're already working on, and just get it done. So we moved from 12 months to 12 weeks or so, right? That's how things then started moving towards the positive direction. And we.
I'm going to give everyone 1 minute. So
yes.
You have to
Yeah. So my answer is, it was challenging times. Now it's exciting times.
Okay. JB.
Very challenging, Manav. And I was just thinking through as this question came through. Saw mixed stuff, right? So lots of support from shareholders, from colleagues, and at industry at large. I think the associations got together, So if one was to look at the positive side of it, I think it brought a lot of people together. It brought our organization together. We used this time to hyper-communicate internally. I mean, we were literally, we had leadership meetings on a daily basis for, I think, about 2 months. So many cross-functional teams. Lots of learning. I think a lot of damage was contained. And like Zubin was saying, you know, lots of heartening experiences. I wish we never see this again. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of us will come out stronger from this.
Right. Priya?
I think certainly agree with both the speakers so far, and it's challenging, painful, happy moments. I felt that I think our leadership came together and really innovated, stayed strong, and worked together to build and then rebuild and rebuild and go through all those cycles. And I think that's been really shown me that how resilient our people and teams are, and how much people went out of their own comfort zones to stay connected and be together. So really positive things on one whole. And of course, from a business point of view, of course, so many plans are derailed and put on a back burner, and we're now going back to 2018, 2019, and trying to at least reach to about 80% of that. So it's never again, I hope.
Kapil, whenever I spoke to you during the pandemic the first year, you were having a fantastic time because you were in the right space where most of my other friends were in the wrong space. So
you know, except for the first 3 months, where we were actually taken by surprise, really, and because we didn't know how can everything just shut down. Yeah, means every single hotel went down and all. And I think the first key thing for us was that we need to take care of the health and well-being of our people. That was very extremely important. The second thing, we were a startup in the hospitality space. When you're an insurgent brand, you're kind of trying to come up against established brands, so you have to play a different playbook. And intrinsically, what is your culture that you're trying to set? So we were very clear that no matter whether it's 3 months, we didn't know at that time it was 3 months, and maybe it was, I don't know, we were fortunate that the lockdown was 3 months only. But we were very clear that we will not lay off any single employee, whether contractual, whether permanent, because rightly or wrongly, we believe that businesses have a social responsibility. And so we were very clear we will not lay out everybody. We drove severe pay cuts across the brand. But the moment the first 3 months opened, it was very interesting. So July, our rates were in Goa, we opened back at 18,000 because we said, okay, business is back as normal. And I remember my sales guy telling me that one guest just called and insulted me. He said, I asked you for the rate for one night, not 3 nights. He said, no, sir, I'm quoting 1 night only. So my sales guy said, can I drop the rates? You know, because, see, listen, the best hotels in Goa are selling at 6,000 because we kind of opened after 3 months. And that's where, when you come across new situation, it comes in. I said, you know what? Check the flight load to Goa. And the flight load to Goa on top airlines like Indigo and all were 20 passengers. So that means only the critical ones were traveling. When August happened, business came back with such a boom that the rate just kept on climbing up. And after that, by the time the second wave happened, which was very brutal and, everything happened, I think we were more researching on what we need to do to protect well-being. So we touched base with Dr. Isaac Bethide Sukia. We had medicines for all our guests, all our team members. None of our team members, fortunately, touch wood, ever made it to a hospital. We kind of, that was most critically important for us. And the rest was good. I thought we just, from a business perspective, because we were running small, intimate resorts, means anybody who was running small, intimate resorts did well. So it was just not about us, really.
Mr. Aggarwal may have been asked again, but do you think these were the 2 most challenging years that you've seen? And you've seen a...
So this is, we just opened in September, and we went through our pain. Right. It was all supply chain, we had to change. Everybody said, go to China for the supply chain. That's the best place. And during the first hotel, my son went to China, and he said, but now I'm telling everybody, don't go to China, it's not necessary. That's the first lesson we learned. But as we opened the hotel, and now we realize the market is coming back very, very strongly. I think all the pain everybody has gone through, India is the place, it's going to boom. We see very early signs. When they called me, and the other day I went to Bangalore, and I said, Raat ko der ho gayi, so I will stay there. He says, Jaideep tells me there is no room for you, sir. I said, that's music to my ears, it's good. And we are not in the city center. So I think everybody went through the pain as you were developing the first property. We got delayed, cost overrun. But,
the analogy.
So
which,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, the analogy which goes, it's not my mistake, but it's my problem, was very true for the last 2 years.
Right. So what I'm going to do for the other questions, I'm going to make them ask for really short answers so that we can get more discussed. If you all had to compare yourself to one personality globally, your leadership style, who would you choose and why?
Personality.
Personality. You have no one in, when you get up or when you run your businesses, is there someone that you look up to and say, you know what, that's the example or that's the kind of
which
leadership?
state are we in?
And
Let's
which
take this. He said
globally.
So this
I
is
said
a very
globally.
interesting
It's a
question,
trick
huh?
question.
I said, no, it's not a trick question.
No, I'm
Come
just
on, it's a,
Come on, come
No,
on.
I mean, I'm not, I can take it, but I don't think I'm the type of person who wakes up in the morning and says, this is my
I'm not saying wake up every
hero or
morning, but I'm
whatever.
just saying, do you
But
have
I
someone
know
that
as a
you...
person, I think I learn from many people. It's not just one, and I
You're
said
being
that 30 years
diplomatic,
ago. It's
that's
not that. So you might like somebody, the way they handle a particular situation, some world leader, you might, a business leader in India or abroad, or you might just admire how some of these 25-year-olds have gone out and made unicorns. So there are things to admire and emulate in many examples and many, whether they're business or political leaders or people
I'm
who
talking
do
about
CSR.
leadership style, but I'm just saying, so you don't, and none of you have people that you believe that you'd want to...
No, it's really, Manav, like ma'am said, it's also about, you look at certain facets. I can tell you at one point when I was at a crossroads in my life, I read Jeff Bezos' story of Amazon, and in which he says something beautiful. He talks about the minimization regret theory, that if you are 80, if you were to live till 80, and you had to look back on your life and ask yourself a question, what is it that I could have done that I did not do because I was too scared, I was too comfortable, I was just very happy in a job? So he said, that's the reason why he quit $1 million job, $1 million bonus at his trading firm to say, I'll sell books on the internet because it's a great opportunity. And that's the minimization regret theory. At one point in my life, I said, can I create a brand really from nowhere? And I just wanted to minimize the regret, whether I fail or I succeed. But so Jeff Bezos was phenomenally inspirational in doing that. Or if you kind of watch Elon Musk globally or what he's doing and how everybody made fun of him when he started doing electric cars, it's an interesting story. He actually cries in the middle of the interview. And he says, they were all heroes of mine and now they're making fun of me. But look at it today, yeah? So I think at every given point in time, you kind of look at some people, and there are some global tenets. Means just think about it. Amazon says they're the most friendly customer services company in the world. Look at what he's built, really, yeah? Fantastic. So much to learn from pretty much everyone.
JB, Mr. Aggarwal, any?
Well, I mean, it's a tough question, but I think I echo what Priya said. So many people. But I think personally, whilst I do admire so many business leaders, but I don't know, for me personally, I keep going back to people in sports for some reason. You know, I have admired people like Muhammad Ali, for example. You know, I mean, he was a great sportsman, great athlete, and a great activist, and left some very long-lasting messages as an example. Big fan of Ronaldo these days. You know, you watch football. So yeah, I don't know if I relate to them. I'm not that sort of this thing, but I like that genre. I think they entertain and they bring so much of precision into our lives.
Manav, you asked me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to speak about this. You see, honestly, heroes keep changing every week, right?
I think so.
As you evolve. But any one of you have grandchildren?
Sorry?
No.
Any one of you have grandchildren here?
Grandchildren?
Yes.
Not on this.
My heroes are my 4 grandchildren.
How nice.
Yeah.
And every day I learn from them, every day.
That's right. That's a good one.
Because when I was young, when I had my children, I was so busy. And I was teaching them. And now my grandchildren, they're teaching me. They're teaching me patience, they're teaching me compassion. Last weekend, Manav, I must tell this. My children are spoiled, right? They all have four maids. So last weekend, I took a challenge, I took 2 of my grandchildren, they wanted to buy dogs. So when I arranged, my whole office was working to locate dogs. And I said, my driver and me and my 2 grandchildren, half a day last Sunday, what I learned that half day, I don't remember learning that for a very long time. Right?
We also, sorry.
So go ahead.
Go ahead, you want to finish?
No, I'm done.
So, while we have the session going on, we also have an ongoing poll about next year's HICSA. We're going to put it live, so as you vote, you'll see the vote change. So please go before the end of the day, keep voting on it. I mean, just an opinion from all of you where we should host the next HICSA, whether it's in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. So just keep that poll open, and I just wanted to bring that up so people know. This morning there was a keynote speaker who was talking about whether today's CEO is a techie. So my question is, how many of you consider yourself qualified for your current job?
Well, I consider myself qualified for my current job, but I'm not a techie. But that's true. The future is in the metaverse. The future is on your phone. The future is digital technology. And I think technology is where our industry is going to move.
Look at that number move.
That's Bangalore.
So every time someone votes, it changes. You can go to your question and answers in the poll section, so you can do that. Anyone else? Are you all, JB, what about you?
I agree with that comment, but I think, in my opinion, I think I qualify for the job, but I'm not a techie. But I think it's important for business leaders to understand and appreciate what technology can do. And I think one of the roles that every business leader has to have is that they're able to wear multiple hats, but they work with experts in different fields, and these things keep changing. So as much as a CEO should be a techie, I think what's more important is CEO should understand that there is the need for technology, especially in this business, and then he or she should be able to integrate rest of the functions and work through that domain knowledge and bring this whole universe of technology in the forefront.
Priya?
I think it just goes beyond technology. As a good leader or CEO, or even maybe a unit head, you have to really know what's happening in the world around you and maybe think a few steps ahead. So whether it's tech or it's sustainability or what are the hot topics and hot buttons, not just for today, but for the next 5 to 10 years. So I think you really have to be a little more forward-looking as a leader to be a truly good leader. I mean, I'm not qualified to be a hotelier, but I'm a hotelier, right?
Sure.
So it's okay.
Kapil, I know you're at least you're very present on social media, but do you consider yourself a techie or?
No, so I don't think...
That's not being a techie.
So it's not about tech. Means I can't, I can't do 2 plus 2 on Excel, and I run a tech company called Easy Diner. Okay, so it's not about that. But I think one of the key question is not really tech. Tech is just an enabler in today's world. But I think the key question around our industry, where I think our industry is really poor, okay, and actually not poor, I think we are pathetic, is innovation. Okay, means just think about how badly, and not means in India predominantly, but even globally, actually very few breakthrough, innovations in travel, in hospitality have come through. Means I know Oyo's come through, which is great. A lot of people are very skeptical about what they built, but I absolutely love what they built. That standardized budget accommodation so that everybody could afford standardized budget accommodation. The idea is absolutely phenomenal and it's innovative. So I think one of the key reasons, and a CEO's role is to innovate. And I think I see not only CEOs, I feel 99% of general managers don't even understand eye of innovation. So I think the industry really needs innovative leaders, people who want to redefine the playbook that they're playing. And I think, honestly, really, and I've been saying this, I think the quality of hoteliering, forget about innovation, is going down drastically. Means, I thought we will disrupt resorts, I think we should disrupt city hotels. I think the quality of service, I think the quality of product, I think everything in hoteliering is going down, and that could be to do with talent going out or whatever. So I think hotel leaders, more than anything, need to innovate. which I don't think any one of them are doing, really. That's my perception. I can say anything I want. I'm like a standalone brand now.
Mr. Aggarwal, are your grandkids more tech savvy than you?
Of ours, but
Sorry?
I said, are your grandkids more tech savvy than you?
100%. 100%. Yeah, they're more tech savvy.
Right.
But I hear about technology and innovation. I think hotels need definitely to rethink, from the American systems of hotels, which I said in my earlier meeting, that we need to build hotels for Indians now and rethink hospitality from that point of view. Because like if you're building hotels, you look for locations. And the English came and they built Mussoorie and Shimla as cities. And then people went there and then stayed in the hotel. The whole city was a resort. So as you build, you will have to think greater than the hotel, the locations.
So one of the other trends during COVID has been the growth of homestays. And Zubin, you're a mainstream operator, and JB, you're a partner as well. Are you seeing homestays as a future threat to hotels? How do you view that whole thing? Because they're doing very well, they're mushrooming up. How do you view that?
Sure.
And would you get into it as a brand? Because Marriott has announced recently that they will look at homestays in terms of branding.
Sure. So I'll answer that as follows. Do I see it as a threat? I don't. Why? Because the mainstream hotel business and the market segments and the way they work are very different from the homestay model. So I don't think there is a threat to the mainstay there. What I see is, to the second part of your question, I see it's a natural extension of the mainstream hotel hospitality business. And that's where, although it's not a homestay brand, but we have launched something recently over HICSA actually. It's called Radisson Individual Retreats. And Radisson Individual Retreats is a brand which goes into 15 keys to 45 keys. Experiential properties located in off the beaten path locations. And just essentially they're offering.
You're going to compete with Kapil?
we're all doing that.
Well, I think there's enough for everyone. First, I think Kapil has his own differentiation.
As long as everybody starts giving us a royalty, we're the first guys who said small hotels could make money. Just 1% of your sales to our efforts will be.
No,
but Manav,
we
look
have
at
the
it.
Park Collection, which is being 20 to 40 room hotels for a long time.
Manav, you could
and
do
our
50
Goa
of these
hotels
in
are
Goa.
30
Okay,
rooms.
so I'm going to take back control.
I think
That side conversation. So you got into this new segment, 15 to 45. That's
See,
good.
exactly. And I think to Kapil's point, you could do some this kind of a product. You could do maybe 50 of these in Goa alone.
Sure.
You
Easier said than done, though. Let me
I
tell
agree.
you. Yeah.
I agree. And that's where the filtration, the quality filtration process
Are you
comes
going to
in.
manage them, or are you just franchising, branding
No,
them?
we will not manage them for the most part. We will let the resorts or the properties retain
So
their
how will
original-
that be different from a Vista or one of these other brands that are also doing the same thing?
Well, what we are trying to do here is bring distribution power to a high quality lodging facility which suffers from deep demand seasonalities, So that's a distribution we are. See, typically these properties would be busy on weekends, and during the week, they would have an off shoulder.
Sure. JB, what do you see? Homestays threat? Not really?
I don't think it's a threat, but I think for us it's a bit different. And the way we look at the business, I mean, obviously there's going to be enough out there for everyone. It's such a large industry. Like most industries, it has so many segments, and we found that to succeed and get best margin, you have to remain focused, and you have to be able to deliver the best value at the best cost. So as far as we are concerned, we believe find your niche and just chase that relentlessly till you get it right, drive the best value at the right cost, and you should have a great business model. I mean, there are multiple genres of hospitality products.
Sure.
Homestay will be there as well. But that's the area that we remain focused on.
Priya, would you get into this
No,
space?
I think what you mean by homestays is villa rentals? Or
Villa
not
rentals,
really? Because
yeah, villa
homestays
rentals.
is slightly different and low
Correct.
end, but I think the
Single unit.
villa rental and villa stay thing business is a huge area for
And you see that as a threat
development.
to
I
hotels?
think that's a threat to luxury hotels because people at that luxury end want privacy, want exclusiveness, may want 12 to 15 bedrooms on their own. And that is the market that I think is interesting. And you see that all across a place like Goa, which is really well developed, and you see all these segments of properties.
I like these
I mean,
questions.
yours are smaller,
Yeah, no.
but there could be many more. You're saying, I can't even
11
this.
people wanted to
So
answer.
I think there is it is a very interesting segment and definitely a growing segment. And I see that a lot in Goa or maybe Coorg or other mountain places where these type of multi-generational, multi-unit, single customer kind of places are.
So Kapil, you're
Wow.
obviously a techie because you've been tweeting and
My
someone,
God. Don't be anonymous, yeah. Raise your hand.
someone has said Kapil has tweeted that less than
There's 11 of them asking that question.
Yeah.
Kapil has said, sorry, you can read that. Kapil has
strategy
tweeted that
mind.
less than 200% growth is slow. That is great with a small base like postcard. Panel thoughts. Are you saying, and I do remember that tweet because it was a lot of comments had come up. So are you saying that Zubin and Priya and all of these guys, because they're not going by 200% growth in the last 12 months, they shouldn't be in the business?
think,
No, the last 12 months, but we've added many hotels.
No, but he said if you're not going by 200%, then you should not be in the business.
See, I can only make comments for myself, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can't make comments for your kids also. Okay, so did I say that I said it's 200% growth for us is slow, okay? Now, if somebody's not doing it, it's their problem, not ours, really, yeah? So my point is very simple. We need to grow at that pace. We are growing at that pace, really. Somebody asked another question that we said $1 billion of assets in 5 years. You know that last 2 years were COVID, but I'll give you a real number, which is really a listed, from our perspective, a compliance number. We are at 2,163 crores of assets under management. So I'm pretty much there. I'm not halfway yet there, but I'm pretty much there in spite of COVID. So that's
How
really
many
to tell
rooms do you have, Kapil?
I'm
How
sorry?
many rooms do you have?
It's not about rooms, so we never look at rooms. I mean, 6 Senses was sold when they had 300 rooms. So from our perspective, we look at an asset value. 8 hotels open, 17 more under construction. But so, sorry.
You need a valuation consultant.
Yeah.
No, it's not a valuation
No,
game.
it's that. Okay,
It's not a valuation game. So it's assets under management. So that's what I tweeted. That's what I'm responding to. I'm not responding to valuation. We'll have a valuation of 1 billion. I don't
Okay,
know.
fair enough. That's
So hello.
asset management.
जो बोला उसी पे जवाब दे.
ठीक है. I thought you were saying your company is worth $1 billion.
No, we are not worth $1 billion. But you see, your question on homestays, which have you answered? Yours.
I'm looking at villa stays. I think villa.
So our
You
point
answer
on-
your point.
Okay,
Kapil, you
so
can finish the answer.
homestays and villas, you and I have had a discussion on this.
Yeah.
I am not at all bullish on homestays. Not at all.
Not homestays.
Okay, so that's my point of view. I'm not bullish at all. I think that segment would need a lot of disruption. I was speaking to the Saffron Stays team here right now at the conference, and I said, if you really need to do that, you would need to get into cities also. Because you see, if you're only doing homestays like what Vista and Saffron Stays is doing in resorts, I don't think it'll be enough to supplement a really nice, big, scalable business, because Airbnb will come and take you out just because of their phenomenal distribution power. If you have to really build a business, then you got to do what Hostmaker was doing really in Europe, although they folded it up, which is you got to start servicing great Airbnb residences, kind of consolidate it, and build scale into it. So if I have 600 great apartments in Mumbai on a platform like this, it's going to work. But if you think you're going to do 20 in Goa and 13 Coorg and 10 here and all, it's not going to work because it's never going to be a 7-day full inventory. So I don't think that's going to work. So I'm not really bullish on homestays. We're not looking at it as a segment. We're not looking at it as a brand extension. We're not looking at it at all.
Right.
That's our view.
Mr. Aggarwal, you've got Bhartiya City. You've got so many different asset classes. What is your view on homestays?
On homestays,
Yes.
He's not giving it to me. No, let him.
I think you need somebody to organize homestays.
Right.
Because when you leave homestays to homeowners,
Yes.
not easy, right? Because the experience of the person who goes and stays in a home, yeah, there is something, so somebody has to come in and organize. That's my first thought. Otherwise, it's very tough to expect every homeowner to be a host and to understand what are the needs of a guest. Is it's not sustainable anywhere. It has not sustained anywhere else in the world, right? I mean, as a small nation, you're very hospitable, and as a community, you're very hospitable, it can work. In a country like India or elsewhere, it's difficult. Right?
Sure.
You need an organizer.
So I'll come back to the question. I want to just ask some rapid questions with one line or one word answers, right? And I'll ask the same question. So Zubin, bottom line or top line?
Top line.
Top line.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Both lines.
No. that's not available.
Obvious. Who doesn't think of top line and
See,
not
that's
think
why
of
you're
bottom line?
that's why you're a real owner.
सब ऐसे बोलते हैं कुछ.
So ये सब
बनिए से पूछोगे तो bottom line.
Sir, top line में growth है.
A good night's sleep or a good breakfast?
A good night's sleep.
Good night's sleep.
Good night's sleep.
Good night's sleep.
So why don't we get rid of the breakfast, from the menus? Because
that's what you need after a good night's sleep.
No, but we should get rid of it. It's a cost, right?
Well, yeah. But that's not the way to look at it. I mean, how is breakfast a cost? I mean,
you're asking as a leader
it's
or
it's
as
an
a hotel
essential.
guest?
You have to provide
Yeah,
for
I
it.
know. We should.
Question is.
Priya, we're waiting. People are waiting for that answer questions. But okay, MICE business, corporate. Would you rather have a corporate event or a wedding?
It's an or question.
Corporate or wedding?
Corporate event or wedding?
Yeah, corporate or corporate MICE or wedding. Zubin?
I would take both actually.
No, one answer.
I would take weddings. I would take
Weddings?
Yeah.
Corporate.
Corporate.
Wedding.
Color of
You
money is
can't
the
do-
same. How does it matter?
So
Weddings in India.
weddings in India.
That's so far our experience. We just
Right.
thought a lot of corporate business. We're just realizing weddings are larger business.
I know one of the people. The next question is, I know Priya's answer, but would you be design-led development or prototype development?
Design. You change the world with design, right? So design-led.
Kapil?
Design.
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 But you're in the prototype business.
No,
you
but
do
we are
Ibises and
innovating with
Novotel.
design. If you look at our products, which are prototype, is infused with design, and we keep changing design all the time.
No, but
You saw
they're really prototypes with
No,
some
but they are
infusion.
design-led. If you go inside the building, they look different, and every property is looking different. You saw the one at Vicroly, that's dramatically different. The art is different. We are now working with emerging artists and things like that.
But Manav, design is the most abused word, huh? You asked the question. I don't know everyone understands.
So we were talking about one word. So I'll let Zubin go and then we'll
Design-led,
go.
for sure.
Design-led.
Absolutely.
Okay. Priya, someone is saying that, would you agree that your growth strategy for Park is conservative, borderline slow to say the least?
Yeah, unfortunately, that has been the
I
case.
had a similar question here.
Your similar question. But anyway, in March 2020, we were on our way to do an IPO, which was actually going to fuel a fantastic growth plan of not just developing our own brand, which is the Park, but also putting more money into our new brand, Zone by the Park, and building it out to about 50 hotels by 2025. I have to say that even though the pandemic happened, we were able to open a management contract hotel in the Indore, a 100-room property, somebody else's money, which was great. And we not only signed on and Zone by the Parks and Zone Connects across India. In fact, last year we opened 6. We opened the Park Indore the year before. We also took a couple of properties, heritage properties on lease. One is from the government of, from Patiala. So through the pandemic, we kept on working. Last year, we also signed 16 more properties in Zone by the Park, of which 7 are opening in this financial year. So I think we've been quiet and silent, but but working hard. So I think we've seen a lot of opportunities for conversions and rollouts, and that Zone by the Park is in not just tier 2 and tier 3 cities, but also in a lot of resort locations that are coming up this year. So we've been, the team has been working great. So I think we were derailed by the fact of this pandemic. In fact, I think done the IPO just before, and the timing was great coming off the results of 1920, we would have had a much faster rollout. And so, but now we're back on track and ready to go. So thank you for that.
So, Zubin, Radisson is always seen as the easiest international brand. I don't know what they mean by that, but to get on board. Does that lead to diluted standards?
Okay, good question. Thank you, whoever asked that.
Short answer, Zubin.
Very short answer. Very short answer. And I know very, very precise, factual answer. We have a 100% renewal rate, and our largest number of new hotels are coming with existing owners. That's ease of doing business. So I would take that as a compliment. Does that lead to diluted standards? We had 4 hotels which are up there on the board yesterday for Best Hotel in the Year awards. So yes and no.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. Good answer, Zubin. I'll stick with you for a minute. So I remember maybe a few years ago, Radisson was one of, I think ease was also when Radisson was doing a lot more franchising, whereas other international brands were doing management contracts. It's interesting because when I look back now, you are preferring to go the management route, whereas I noticed that other brands, international brands, are actually more willing to do more franchising with the right partners. So you're going you always seem to be going in the opposite direction. It's like Indian, you drive on the wrong side of the road.
No, I think we call it selective franchising. And I think the answer is, and I think this question requires a deep, deep debate in the industry at large. The question is not managed or franchised. The question is, who's the right partner to run your franchise hotel, right? And we have, like you said, we have about 20-30% of our hotels in the franchise pipe, but they're with excellent partners, right? And of course, the customer doesn't know whether it's a managed hotel or a franchise hotel. To the customer, it's a Radisson hotel, right? Sure. So we have to bring in that parity. And to me, we will do both. Managed predominantly, but selective franchising. Sure. And that's the way to go for us.
JB, you've worked in airlines for a good part, for many years. You've worked in hospitality also for the last, 4 or 5 years now. Where are the better leaders? Is it in hospitality or is it airlines? And I mean, do you think there's smarter leaders out there in airlines or?
I just think the airline business has morphed over time and has faced many challenges, and come out of it, made it really, really efficient. It would be incorrect to say whether they're better leaders, but they have seemed to have managed their talent with far more diversity than what I saw when I got into hospitality. I've been here now 7 years. And after the airline business, I spent another 7 years in tech. And even in the tech world, you see a lot of cross that happens, building diversity across talent, not just at the top, but leadership, and I'm referring to leadership at every level. The airline business has profited through that. It has brought in great efficiencies. Don't forget, the airlines moved from being state-owned to become privately owned to low cost and efficient models, et cetera, et cetera. And, but one does not or has not seen that level of diversity that sort of moves in, and everything remains at a very sort of an operating level. And there's, even today, continues to be a big disconnect between a GOP and a ROCE. So as investors, you're investing money and then your people are delivering GOP, and the two numbers are just mathematically not connected to deliver a return. And which is why, you see the kind of ROCEs. The industry can do much better, bringing in, lots of efficiencies. I think that's the new challenge now. The post-COVID world is a whole new bunch of challenges to evaluate returns, to evaluate sweating of assets, to evaluate new prototypes. We spoke about different business models. It requires deeper commitment. As much as COVID has hurt us, I mean, through COVID, we saw different decisions being taken. The whole day we were hearing about manpower and attrition, and one was just thinking that companies that manage their manpower well, you alluded to an example, would face lesser attrition, than companies who sort of just let go. And therefore, it's just not companies, also owners, because they played a very important role on how manpower was managed, as an example. Diversity is really needed in the industry at every level. And we also see a lot of hospitality professionals going out into retail and other areas. But we are not seeing that coming in, and that is needed at every level. I don't think it's difficult to do that. I think we just have to get that mindset that yes, we are trying it in our, we've got people now running, if I see Interglobe Hotels, my entire leadership team, nobody's from hospitality, and we've done a pretty good job, I think. Sure. And there are many other businesses who do that. So I think that's an area, I think, that should be debated at every level.
I think some of the best talent in the industry is going to come from the airline sector and the retail sector.
But they're not coming to the hotel sector, so that doesn't help us. So.
That's another story. Yes.
So Priya, you're a flag bearer for women in hospitality, right? In the leadership role. You're the only one on stage. What can we do to get more women into hospitality? And also, why does Park not promote more women? I've not come across any general manager of yours who's been a woman. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen, so why is that? Should you not be leading?
Yeah, despite us having a management training program for a long time. So it's interesting, it's not just hospitality which loses women, it's also the general labor force. So in corporate India, I think it's 23 or 25% are just women, okay, in the organized sector. And I know that was pre-pandemic, that was probably our figure, about 22% of women employed. It has come down in the pandemic times, partly because of the natural attrition, the way the work-life balance has got disrupted. And you have to understand in this industry, there is a work-life balance issue, not just for women who are in the industry, also men. I mean, in our company, and I'm sure many do, we're giving paternity leave because we also feel that is important to equalize. So when it's the work-life balance and when you have let's say a more traditional society like India, and you've seen that and you've read many articles in the past 2 years, that women have just dropped out of the workforce, looked at alternative incomes, and many of them have had to stay at home with young kids. So, I mean, that issue is happening across corporate India. Hospitality is even worse. I mean, there are only very few jobs that you can do working from home. How many jobs can all of us provide to women, which is work from home? That is what women have been asking for years: flexible work time, childcare, this and that, and a balance of life, because ultimately the burden to look after the sick kid or the homework or the XYZ is the woman's. So, but in our industry, you can't do a restaurant manager's job from home. Okay, so what can you do? You can do maybe some
So my question was...
So unless you provide that flexible work
my question was, other brands are doing it, why is Park not doing it? Should you not be leading by example? Because I know Marriott is trying, Oberoi's does, I know Kapil was always trying to get...
Yeah, so obviously we try. My senior management team is full of women into finance, HR.
That's easy.
Of course. Yeah, but my finance heads, many of them are women, and that's rare. Engineering I don't have. Yeah, positive discrimination, maybe that's something I have to learn a little more.
Sure.
But I think the person has to be right for the job.
Set up a first all-women hotel. Do that.
Taj has.
Taj has.
Yeah, Taj.
Where is that?
Chennai.
Wellington
News,
News,
Chennai.
I think.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So,
great example.
sorry, I'm going to stick with you, Priya. It's just easier for me, since I'm...
In the flow.
When I get numbers from brands, which we do once a year when we collect data, most Park hotels are right at the top when it comes to occupancy.
Yeah.
Right? Your rates are not
the top.
there.
Yeah.
And therefore, considering you're a design-led hotel, and design-led hotels generally tend to have higher rates, what is going on? Why is it inverse?
So I don't think that we have the critical mass of customers who believe in playing for design. I don't think we have that, because that requires a kind of highly, let's say, educated, motivated, type of customer, which may exist in pockets in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, and a few other places, but is it of critical mass? And the reason why I chose the path of design is because I wanted to differentiate the hotels. I wanted to do things that were interesting in design. And I don't think that using design has to be expensive, right? Okay, we've done a 4-star brand Zone by the Park, which is design conscious, but also price conscious. And you see many of the international brands have gone into that young, more youthful, designed environment, which what everyone's talking about, that they, even though they have prototypes, it is design-led, because that's what the newer generation of customers have, which has reached a critical mass in the US and Europe. Sure. It's not that there in India, but having said that, customers come to us not just for design, they come to us for entertainment and the bars and the nightlife and the fun, and which is why the occupancy, and we've been doing some research into the past couple of months, looking at the numbers of people who actually check in because they want to come and party on a Friday and a Saturday night, with or without their kids. So I think for us, that's an important segment. There'll always be this battle between rate and occupancy, but in the first pandemic years, our average room occupancy with just very few resorts was 67%. Last year, we've just closed March 31st, 75%, touching 80s and 90s in February and March. And these are all city hotels, apart from 2 in Goa, which are only just 60 rooms. So I think for us, that's a very strong thing. It's very positive, and that's why I talked about the business bouncing back and the team pushing that whole thing out. Sure. Rates are low in the cities, so I might as well maximize the occupancy and keep my revenues. Sure. And my RevPARs are also very good.
Kapil, have you had to change, or has your leadership style changed from when you were running Oberoi Group versus today as an entrepreneur?
So as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest things that you have is there's a lot of flexibility, Manav, but you've been an entrepreneur too. But as an entrepreneur, you got to realize that you got to keep the lights on. Okay, and finally, there's a much bigger load on your shoulders. Means you should know it, like you an entrepreneur too. So I think that's one of the big things, and also the fact that no matter how much confidence you have, but there are periods of phenomenal self-doubt. That can you make it? Are you really that good? Are you good enough? Are you going to be good enough? But again, you say, well, that's the path you charted out, and that's what you have to do, really. So that would always lead to, I don't think my management style's really changed. I still think I'm pretty clear about what I want, but
leadership style was the question.
Yeah, but so in terms of the fact that means I've always focused on very high level of competence, and that has also led to the talent that we have at the Postcard Hotel. I think really pretty much the best in the industry from that perspective. So we were able to hire great talent. We were able to retain that great talent. Our attrition has been lower than 5% really. So I think that kind of swells well. If people want to come back and work for you, I think you're kind of okay.
Sure, sure. I think there's a question here which I noticed has got the most votes. What is the average profit in rupees?
So I can see a lot of interest. How many assets do we have? What's the valuation? What's the profit? Which is pretty good. But really, to give you, it's a very simple answer to that question. Think about it that if your average room rate across the brand is around 26,500 rupees, yeah, that's your average room rate. You're predominantly a room operation, okay, with F&B, which is basically for resident guests. Your profitability margins are going to be very, very high. Means that's all I can say right now. So high that in spite of having a very, very senior team, because please appreciate, we have 8 hotels open. I gave a wrong number, 23 under construction, 17 more signed, not started construction. With that level, your focus on engineering, on projects. So both of them were very senior resources at Oberoi Hotels who are now at Postcard Hotel, because we kind of have to open a new hotel every 3 months. So due to which your corporate allocation expenses are very high. So one thing that I can tell you is that except for the months of Omicron and when Delta happened, so that 3 months, and Omicron, which was January 15 to pretty much February 15, that impact, we've been profitable every single month at a total operating level. I'm not saying EBITDA profitable and not profitable, but just because of the nature of our business. It's no rocket science. If you have that higher rate and you have great occupancy, means you will be profitable. Means there's no absolute question about it. How much is it? But depending upon resort to resort, let me give you an interesting number, because you're so curious to know my business model, so let me just share it with you. But I opened the Trident in Gurgaon into, kind of became a very successful hotel. The fees that Oberoi Hotels earns at Trident Gurgaon, which is 136 room, a super great hotel, is lower than the fees I earn at the Postcard Gir, which is 15 rooms in 16 acres. Making a public statement. Yeah, we make more at the Postcard Gir with 15 rooms than the Oberoi Group makes at 136 rooms of Trident Gurgaon, good average room rate. Today's time, not my time, okay, that was much higher during those days, lesser hotels in Gurgaon. Not that we were good, but today, not today's time, no, I'm talking about pre-COVID 2019. I'm talking about pre-COVID 2019. And the difference why we are able to do that is the Trident Gurgaon is a pure management contract, and we work on what we call revenue share leases. Okay, so that means we are risk appended, so when COVID happens, we go down. So we take the calls on retaining our people or not retaining our people, and like I told you earlier, we took a call of retaining our people. Okay, we don't have owners in our hotels take calls whether they want to retain somebody or not retain somebody. And with no disrespect to anybody, the reason why we build this business model out, because if we have to open 1 or 2 hotels every year, and our key operating philosophy is that, think about it, Marriott's a great company, I think Hilton's a great company, IHG is a great company, but some of these companies are European, some of these companies are North American, opening some great hotels in your absolutely amazing country. We want to take Indian hospitality out to the globe. We have a mission to do that, to put Indian hospitality as the very best brand out of the globe. So our thing, Manav asked me a very good question. He always asks me that question, how many rooms do we have? It doesn't matter to me. What matters to us is that we should have the best hotel in every single city we operate in. We should be rate leaders. We should take this brand to Cannes, to any top leisure destination across the world. And that is what our aim is. Whether people like it, people don't like it, but our model is also to disrupt every single criteria of hotels that you see. I tell you, the entire management contract model is rubbish, and I'll explain to you in 30 seconds how it is. Every single brand is talking about 2% of top line and 8% of bottom line. Really? Okay, let's see how the venture capital world operates. The venture capital world says, give me 100 crores. You go to Sequoia Capital and say, I'm a big limited partner. I want to give 100 crores. Somebody as rich as Mr. Aggarwal goes and says, I want to give you 100 crores to manage my money. Sequoia Capital will charge you 2% of your capital as management fees, 20% of all profits. And here, you kind of operate the whole hotel. There is always friction happening between both the parties, and you charge 2 and 7. That is why hotel stocks globally are not valued at what they are. That is why Airbnb is valued at what it is. There are many 100 other reasons. But the industry, like I said earlier, needs to innovate, evolve. So not only have we evolved in our product strategy, our service strategy, which you already know, anytime check-in, check-out, anytime breakfast, all cocktails when we welcome you in, but even in the way we do our management contracts. Out of the 8 hotels I operate, before you ask me another question on this poll, okay, I do not have a single management contract. Let me give you another number. Out of the 23 hotels under construction, we have 2 management contracts. अब कोई सवाल है तो मेरे से नीचे पूछ लें.
I just gave you an extra 0 for the 30 seconds. You're at 3 minutes.
Did you just say we are all doing deals at 2% and 8% in the industry?
I'm sorry?
Did you just say that we are all doing deals at 2% and 8% and that's what the industry is doing?
Well, sir, there are international brands sitting here who are doing deals at 1.5 and 7% also, sir. Now, do you want me to start taking names?
See, no, we're not talking names here. We're talking generally. This is beyond a brand. But, let me say that the way you can slice a pie is in a million manners. It's not just 2% and 10% or whatever you're saying, 1.5 and 7. You have to slice a deal or slice a hotel opportunity the way it makes sense, right?
No, so Zubin, there's nothing right or wrong. All I'm trying to say is, just think about it. Zubin, in life, if we have to say we have to grow, yeah? So we say, okay, look at the stock market performance of all global majors on a 10-year mark. Look at the stock market performance of all hotels listed in India or F&B service companies in India. Step back and say, in spite of such absolutely amazing assets, why are hotel stocks either globally or here not valued very richly?
I think hotel stocks are the most misunderstood in the
but misunderstood is the problem of who?
That's what he's saying.
Investors. Okay. Why are we not able to convince investors?
We'll take that offline. We'll take that offline.
Yeah, we'll take that offline.
Mr. Aggarwal, you have one hotel operational. It's the Leela. Why did you go with an Indian brand and not an international brand? And yesterday, if you had been here, we've done an owner's survey. Suddenly, the Indian brands are the flavor of the...
we built a city called Bhartiya city, right?
An Indian Bhartiya city.
Yes. And the dream that we were selling was that you can live your life, a good life. Obviously, we wanted a luxury hotel, the first hotel that we wanted to enhance the city center. And then the obvious two choices was Oberoi and Leela. So when Jaideep talked to someone at Oberoi, he said, "Kitni land doge? इधर land कितनी है?" मैंने बोला, यार मेरे पास आया, मैंने बोला land तो है ही नहीं, यहाँ तो सब city develop हो गई, land कहाँ है? So that, and we would talk to Leela, and Captain Saab came himself, and he saw a piece of land, and he said, "Yeah, we will do a hotel." Right? That's how it happened. And later on, of course, Mr. Oberoi said, "तुमने मेरे से क्यों नहीं बात करी?" That's how we looked at.
But why not a
I was
Marriott?
very proud to do a local luxury brand.
Why not a Radisson? Why not a Marriott? Why not a
I don't
Hilton?
relate. My country, Bhartiya city, I would relate to a luxury brand from India. Why not?
Priya, you missed out on an
I
opportunity.
missed out on that one.
Anji?
Missed out on that one.
Priya is also
You could have a
domestic.
park and a postcard.
Yeah, sure.
All Indian brands.
Sure, sure.
Tiny corners.
Zubin, name an emerging hotel market in the country which, according to you, has the most tremendous potential.
You know which city in the country has the highest, and I learned this from Kapil actually, thank you for that Kapil, has the highest home delivery and takeaway sales? Take a guess.
The question is for you, not for
Ranchi.
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 You know?
Is that where the next hotel is coming
Well,
up?
I think that's where the future of the growth is. It's tier 2, 3, 4 markets. Our hotel in Gorakhpur is running at a rate of 6,000 rupees.
Right.
You know?
JB?
You know, we've burnt our fingers so much, I dare not guess, but
Emerging.
I mean, over lunch, somebody said Hosur, as an example. We've got investments sitting in Sri Parampudur, market hasn't moved. We've got other investments that didn't move the way it did. So it's just so difficult. And I think from our side, I think the way we focus now with our investments is go into markets with clear present demand, build fast and get it moving. But yeah, any of these markets like Nagpur, Bhubaneswar, any of the state capitals, some will move fast, some will move slow, but there's so much of hearsay that comes, you know, when you start to look at these numbers. And as much as different industries will track different performances in those markets, but when you actually go and stack up at a hotel, the drivers are different. So I think one has to be really, really careful. Sure.
Priya?
I think it's the tier 2 and tier 3 cities across the country which will boom and are booming, and once things get normal. And and certainly with the pandemic years, you've seen it's all the small resorts and undiscovered places where there's also, you plant a small hotel and you do well. So I think it's all over really.
Postcard Ranchi?
So we can only be on the seaside, so I can talk about what destinations are great, but for us, I think my important point is that there are some great locations across India. I'm actually seeing my own country for the first time, really, in a very different light. I was in Hampi. It's cleaner than any city in Europe. It's beautifully lit. It's absolutely stunning, and the ruins of Hampi are absolutely amazing. We just signed a hotel yesterday in Hampi in over 26 acres, and we believe there are many destinations, but I think one destination that we are really going in a very big way, and you'll hear a lot of announcements, is the Northeast. We are going in very big into the Northeast because from a leisure perspective, till now you've never been sure if you're going to get a great experience.
Yeah.
So we like to go where there are no people, so where generally other hotel brands have not yet come in, so it's easier to drive a great leadership position.
Sure. Aggarwal, where's the next Bhartiya city coming up?
Yeah. I would like to do a Bhartiya city in every country, every city in India. Right? That's a dream.
Sure.
But I tend to agree on the hospitality side with Kapil that India needs to be rediscovered and discovered and discovered. Yeah. I mean, there's so much I as a kid used to go to Shimla. It was so beautiful. And there are parts of Shimla which are still not destroyed.
True.
I think we all need to get together, and hospitality industry has to go there. Because the only place that you go there now is the Oberoi Hotel, right? And
No, now there are many.
No, there are many.
Now there are
Nice
many. They're like mushrooming like anything.
Yeah.
There's no water.
Yeah, but standard-wise. So we need to go to and rediscover India. And like you said, Hampi a great opportunity there.
No, I think there are lots of small hoteliers that have done it.
One very quick question. Cryptocurrencies. Do you see your hotels starting to take cryptocurrencies as a method of payment anytime soon? Any of you?
Anytime
Not
soon?
legally allowed as yet.
It's happening in other parts of the world.
Not
But it's
unless
not legally allowed in India.
Not unless the
not allowed
litigation is clear on it. It's very litigious, very murky, grey. But do you think? I mean, do I think it's
Thailand
the
has
future?
just allowed cryptocurrencies to be taken in hotels.
Really? Oh, didn't know
It's
that.
just happened a few weeks ago. So I'm just saying.
Where is that?
Thailand.
Thailand, oh.
So I'm just saying that it's not, we
It's,
always say we are not allowed, but it's happening in a
It's
country.
easily convertible. We are
why
okay.
not?
We are okay. We are very
Yeah,
fine
why-
taking
yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Why
It's the
not?
future.
Right.
That's definitely
why
it's the
not?
future.
We don't have too much time, but when the time comes, Zubin, what advice will you give to your successor?
Take care of your people. They are your most important asset.
Take care of.
Your people.
Your colleagues, your stakeholders, your owners. I think it is basically about that. You know why we had a phenomenal recovery, and that's because we did not at the corporate level downsize any of our staff. And when the recovery cycle came, we were right ahead,
Sure.
and ready. So your people are your most important asset.
Sure. JB, what advice do you have for your successor?
He stole my answer, so I'll just add another
Actually,
flavor.
the best answer.
Huh? It's the
Actually,
best
the best
answer.
answer. You can ask us another question.
Another question? Okay, Kapil. If you had to share an elevator for 30 seconds with someone, what would who would that be? And what would you say to that person? 30 seconds with that person if you had time with them on an elevator.
Elon Musk.
What would you tell him?
What's the next big idea? I think he's changing the world around us. More than anything else, he got into two technologies which the world did not believe in. One was electric cars, the second was space. So I think it basically kind of changes the boundaries which we see the world. We all like to see the world confined and we think we are all experts at it.
But you said 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I think
30 seconds with
that's what I do. 30 seconds में इतनी बात हो जाएगी सर एलन मस्क
नहीं सर आपका नहीं हो पाएगा बात
हो जाएगा
नहीं
चिंता मत करिए हो जाएगा
if we do a poll here yes or no I think the answer will be no
ये भी पूछ लो
Mr. Aggarwal what advice would you have
Dua Lipa
sorry
Dua Lipa
Dua Lipa.
Ah,
I'm going to her
30
concert.
seconds 30 seconds in the elevator
Well, that's a
right?
good choice.
Yeah.
So
he's
Priya,
a grandfather he said
I'm going to her
come
concert
on.
next week.
Priya who would you think that person would be and
I can't even think of
You
that.
know,
I'm
but-
very excited by his answer.
Haji,
I want
आपने
to
क्या
know
कहा?
why.
हाँ? आपने क्या कहा?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm curious to know why.
Anyway, I think the time is up. I just wanted to thank all of you. But before you leave, can we get the poll back up again between, which city we should host the conference or an advice, if someone can help us put that up? You can still continue voting because till the end of the evening, but just wanted to see what was happening between the three cities. Should have got my team to. Anyway, by the time it comes up.
Bangalore
No, that's Bangalore by a huge.
Wow.
Bangalore's one.
I think Jaideep Singh is voting only
Sorry?
I
No, we have
think
had
only Jaideep Singh is voting
134 people respond, which is a good number. This is just indicative. That doesn't mean we'll go to Bangalore or go to Delhi, but it's something to hear back, right? And I just want to share this that even tonight we will be sending out a feedback form. We at Hotelivate or at HICSA do take these feedback forms. So if you have suggestions, we'll really request you to go back and give us the feedback, not on just this, but on other things, so that we can improve and hopefully do a better job. Thank you, everyone on the panel.
Thank you, Manav.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Photograph.